What comes to mind when you think of grass? A lawnmower? A picnic? A favorite sport? Definitely green, right? How about elephants, lions, and giraffe? In the grasslands of East Africa, its picnics feed 15-foot-tall giraffes and 10,000-pound elephants. And their games have higher stakes. And while this grass may not be green in color, it brings in plenty of something that can be green and is always welcome: money.
Tourism is a huge and important part of the economy here in Kenya. People come out from all over the world and pay really good money in order to see all the wildlife that I can see from just sitting up here. From the single hill, I can see probably 100 Cape buffalo, a bunch of gazelle, there's a big bull elephant walking up here, 24 zebra, there's 3 black rhinos, there's ostriches, 20 giraffe. I mean, it's all right here. So all the wildlife you see adds to the economy of the country. It's what you call ecotourism.
Incredibly cool. I mean, that line's, 10 feet away from us. It's the reason why people come out to East Africa, because they get to see wildlife really up close and personal.
Last year, over 1 million visitors and almost $1 billion of their dollars got up close and personal with Kenya. And getting up close and personal with multi-ton animals and meat-eating cats requires professionals every step of the way.
Tourists who come out here, they have to drive around in trucks and they have to eat here and they need places to stay. So wildlife really ends up providing jobs, from cooks to guides to drivers to mechanics.
Aside from jobs, tourism's impact goes even deeper.
Local community members will tell you that when they see a lion, they're really seeing an irrigation well. Or when they see an elephant, they're seeing their next school. What they mean by that is when people come out here, they're putting money into these communities that goes ultimately to build a well or build a school or build a new road.
So we see why people come out here, but why are the animals here in the first place?
All these animals are here for one reason, and that's because this place is a grassland. What's great about grasslands is they're incredibly productive. They grow fast and they're full of nutrients. And as animals eat them down, they continue to spring up from below. And that's the reason why the grasslands can support so much abundance of big animals. It's why East Africa is one of the great places to come and see mammalian diversity.
Okay, people may not fly halfway around the world to see cows, but to East African ranching communities, cattle is just as important as the wildlife they share the land with, if not more.
For semi-nomadic communities like the Maasai or the Samburu, cattle mean everything. It's a symbol of their wealth, but it's also important for their food and incredibly important to their culture. So what we have right here is a corral, what they call here in Kenya a boma. And it's basically built out of thorns, and it's to keep the cattle in place, usually at night. And now, as morning comes, they'll open this up and they'll take the cattle out into the grasslands and into the brush to graze. For grass to really grow, you need good rain. And in big, dry, arid landscapes like northern Kenya, rain comes and goes. So nomadic communities like the Maasai and the Samburu have to move their cattle constantly to go to where the rain is falling.
Because this area's typical rainy seasons are just April and November, drought is as common as the wildlife.
Now, this is why having wildlife in the landscape is actually important to these communities as well. Because when times are bad and they can't find enough grass for their cattle, then they can rely on tourism to give them a little bit of income. If they only depend on cattle, then they're at the mercy of rainfall.
With this in mind, the Lewa Wildlife Conservancy and their Northern Rangelands Trust partners practice community-based conservation in Kenya. Among others, Lewa's 62,000-acre preserve is home to cheetahs, rhinoceros, and over 350 species of birds. What's really special about Lewa is that its goals don't end with tourism and go on to serve neighboring communities to maximize this shared landscape. Take the case of the cow and zebra. Depending on the season, grass on the conservancy can become unsuitable for zebra. So Lewa often enlists neighboring cattle to eat down the less nutritious grass, tromping, pooping, and peeing along the way. This loosens and wets the dry, crusty soil to make ideal conditions for more diverse grass. The cows eat well, the zebras eat well. Healthy zebras can feed hungry lions. Healthy lions, happy tourists. A shared landscape where the wildlife actually do some of the landscaping.
Big browsers like elephant and giraffe really help keep the place open as grasslands by knocking out these brush and taking out the trees and eating up all these smaller woody plants. So this is how nature works for us in one way. It allows grasses to thrive underneath, which is great for cattle. If you take out those browsers from the system, over time, this will become thick brush and eventually maybe even a forest.
Built-in landscapers and lawnmowers? Best not to mess up a good thing.
All this land is not just sitting here wasted. It's land that's really productive. Now, it's not a farm and it's not a shopping mall. It's a land use that doesn't convert the land. It lets the land remain the same way, and this grassland really provides long-term benefit for the community.
And all of this because of grass. Amazing. Nature works hard, and that's why we work hard for nature.